Let me tell you something right now. What happened on SmackDown was not an accident. It was not a random act of chaos. It was cold, calculated, and absolutely ruthless, and WWE is hoping you didn't pay close enough attention to catch what was really going on. Jacob Fatu, the most physically terrifying man on the SmackDown roster, the man who has been dismantling everyone put in front of him like they were made of paper, got ambushed, blindsided, taken out by a coward hiding behind a mask, and the worst part? WWE is sitting there acting like everything is fine. Like this isn't the kind of thing that should have every single fan absolutely furious. Because here's the truth they don't want you to think about. Someone planned this. Someone watched Jacob Fatu, studied him, waited for the perfect moment, and then struck like a snake in the dark. Who hates Jacob Fatu enough to do this? Who is brave enough, or desperate enough, to attack the most dangerous member of the bloodline with their face hidden behind a mask? Because one thing is crystal clear, this person knows exactly what Jacob Fatu is capable of, and they were too terrified to show their face. Stay locked in, because by the time this video is done, you are going to have a completely different perspective on what went down, who might be behind it, and what happens next. Do not click away. Let's break down exactly what happened, frame by frame, moment by moment. The night started like any other SmackDown. Jacob Fatu was backstage, radiating that menacing energy he always carries, the kind that makes even seasoned veterans step out of the hallway when he walks through. Fatu has been on an absolute warpath since arriving on the main roster, and the SmackDown locker room has been walking on eggshells ever since. Then the lights flickered. You probably brushed it off as a production glitch. You probably didn't think twice about it. But that right there was the signal. Because seconds later, in that corridor backstage, a figure in a dark mask appeared from the shadows and launched a vicious, unprovoked attack on Jacob Fatu. We're not talking about a little shove. We're talking about a full-scale assault, a brutal, premeditated beatdown using a weapon, striking Fatu from behind before he even had a chance to register what was happening. Chairs, steel pipes, barricades, this attacker came loaded for war. This wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't some backstage argument that escalated. This was a hit job. Fatu, to his credit, even while absorbing shots that would have put any normal man on a stretcher, fought back. The sheer animal ferocity in his eyes when he turned around and still tried to get his hands on his attacker sent a chill through the entire arena. The masked man barely got away. Barely, and you could tell from the way they scrambled, they knew they'd poked a sleeping monster, and that monster was already waking up. By the time officials rushed to the scene, the attacker had vanished. Gone. No trace. No identity. Just chaos left behind, and Jacob Fatu, seething, screaming, demanding answers that nobody had the nerve to give him. Jacob Fatu is a member of one of wrestling's most legendary families. What is the famous wrestling family name that Jacob Fatu belongs to? Drop your answer below. Let's see who really knows their wrestling history. Now this is where it gets really interesting. And honestly, a little infuriating, because the list of suspects is longer than it has any right to be, and every single one of them has a motive that makes your stomach turn. Let's not dance around it. The Bloodline's internal politics have been a powder keg for months. Roman Reigns is gone. Solo Psycho is trying to hold the new chapter together. And Jacob Fatu, this absolute beast of a man, has been the most dominant piece of that puzzle. But dominance creates enemies even within your own faction. Could someone inside the Bloodline itself feel threatened by Fatu's rising power? Could jealousy have finally boiled over into betrayal? History tells us that within the Bloodline, nobody is truly safe from a knife in the back. Think about how many people Jacob Fatu has brutalized since arriving on SmackDown. He doesn't tap dance around opponents, he destroys them. He ends careers. He ends momentum. He ends confidence. Any one of those victims could have reached their breaking point and decided the only way to level the playing field was to even the odds with a mask and a weapon. The rage of a humiliated man is a terrifying thing, and Fatu has humiliated a lot of people. Here's the option that should frighten you the most. What if this masked individual isn't someone we've seen before? What if WWE is planting the seeds for a brand new character, a mystery antagonist who specifically has it out for the Bloodline? What if this is bigger than a personal grudge and is instead the opening move in a long-term war? Because the level of preparation involved in this attack, the planning, the timing, the execution, suggests someone who thinks strategically. And strategic thinkers in WWE are always the most dangerous. Don't sleep on this one. Roman Reigns has been conspicuously absent. The tribal chief doesn't just disappear without a plan. Roman is always watching. Roman is always playing chess while everyone else plays checkers. Is it possible that the tribal chief, feeling his grip on the Bloodline slipping, decided to send a message through a proxy, to remind everyone, including Jacob Fatu, who the real head of the table is? Every single one of these angles is plausible. Every single one of them leads to a potentially explosive WWE story. And that's what makes this attack so maddening, because we don't know, and WWE is going to drag out this mystery for as long as possible. Let's talk about what this ambush actually means for SmackDown as a whole, because the ripple effects here are massive. First and foremost, this attack exposes something critical. Jacob Fatu is not untouchable. Yes, he is a monster. Yes, he is arguably the most physically imposing man on the roster right now. But monsters can be hurt. Monsters can bleed. And once the locker room sees that Fatu can be caught off guard, even temporarily, it emboldens people. It creates a shark-feeding frenzy mentality where suddenly everyone thinks they can take a shot. That is dangerous for SmackDown's power dynamics, because Fatu is the kind of man who doesn't process being attacked calmly. He doesn't sit in a room and strategize coolly. He burns. He rages. And a raging Jacob Fatu with something to prove is somehow even more terrifying than the calm version. Whoever did this didn't just pick a fight, they lit a fuse on a bomb, and now everyone on SmackDown is standing in the blast radius. Second, and this is crucial, this attack fundamentally changes the bloodline dynamic. The bloodline under Solo Psycho has been presenting a united, intimidating front. An attack on one of their own members is an attack on all of them. So now the entire faction is compromised, distracted, potentially paranoid, possibly pointing fingers at each other. That kind of internal tension is exactly what enemies of the bloodline have been waiting for. Third, this is going to affect title pictures. Major championship angles live and die by the stability of their key players. If Jacob Fatu is now embroiled in a blood feud with a mystery attacker, where does that leave his positioning on the card? Does it elevate him into an even bigger storyline? Does it derail what should have been his championship moment? WWE Creative is going to have to make some very important decisions very quickly. Here's where we put on our booking hats and talk about what should happen and what realistically will happen. What should happen is simple: Jacob Fatu should go to war. Full stop. He should tear SmackDown apart looking for answers. He should interrogate every single person in that locker room. He should be so consumed by vengeance that it terrifies babyfaces and heels alike. The emotional power of Jacob Fatu on a mission is something WWE has barely scratched the surface of, and this is the perfect opportunity to show audiences a side of him that goes beyond pure physical destruction. We should see Fatu becoming obsessive, becoming unhinged in his pursuit of the truth. Because when a man like that, a man that powerful, that dangerous, loses control, it makes for genuinely appointment television. What we'll realistically get is a slow burn reveal. WWE loves a mystery. They will tease this week after week, dropping subtle breadcrumbs, maybe having the masked figure appear again, perhaps attacking another bloodline member or someone connected to Fatu. We'll probably get several almost reveals where the mask nearly comes off before the attacker escapes. And when the reveal finally comes, it needs to be a nuclear moment. This is not the kind of storyline where you can pay it off with a mid-card match at a B-level premium live event. The identity of this attacker needs to be someone who creates genuine shock, someone who makes fans leap out of their seats, someone whose history with Fatu or with the bloodline makes the reveal feel earned and explosive simultaneously. The stage is set for something monumental. The question is whether WWE has the creative courage to see it through. SmackDown has been home to some of the most shocking ambushes in WWE history. Can you name one other famous masked attacker moment in WWE or wrestling history? Comment below, we want to hear your picks. Let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about one attack on one Friday night. This is about the direction of WWE's flagship blue brand, and arguably, the future of one of the most compelling characters WWE has built in recent memory. Jacob Fatu represents something WWE desperately needs right now: legitimacy. Not the manufactured, PR-managed kind of legitimacy that comes from social media campaigns and cross-promotional deals. Real legitimacy, the kind that comes from a performer who walks through a curtain and makes an entire arena feel something visceral and primal. Fatu's size, his athleticism, his family pedigree, his ring work, everything about him screams main event star. And the worst possible thing WWE could do is waste that potential by burying this ambush storyline in mediocrity. This needs to be handled with the same care and urgency that Roman Reigns' Universal Championship run was handled with. Because the ceiling for Jacob Fatu, if given the right story, the right opponent, and the right moment, is astronomical. The masked man angle is a classic wrestling storytelling device for a reason. It works. It creates mystery. It creates investment. It makes fans tune in every single week desperate for answers. But classic devices only work when the payoff is worth the wait. WWE has a golden opportunity sitting right in front of them. Jacob Fatu, motivated by fury and vengeance, is box office. A mystery villain lurking in the shadows of SmackDown is appointment television. The creative team needs to recognize what they have and protect it fiercely. At the end of the day, what happened to Jacob Fatu on SmackDown was one of the most talked about moments in recent memory, and it should be. Because this is the kind of unpredictable, jaw-dropping storytelling that reminds us exactly why we fell in love with professional wrestling in the first place. Someone out there is bold enough, or desperate enough, to go after the most dangerous man on SmackDown. And Jacob Fatu is not the kind of person who lets something like this slide. He is not the forgive and forget type. He is going to hunt this person down, unmask them, and make them pay in the most brutal, spectacular way possible. And we are going to be glued to our screens every single week waiting for it. So drop your theories in the comments. Who do you think was behind that mask? And don't forget to answer both trivia questions while you're down there. We read every comment, and the best answers might just make it into a future video. Here on Wrestling Zone Insider, we have a quick request for you. We are constantly working to improve our content to earn your love and support. That's why we would truly appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay dangerous, stay passionate, and never stop watching wrestling.